Hi, I'm Kendall with College Students in the Know, and we're here today with candidate Mark Lipton. Mark, what office are you running for in Florida?
I'm running for the Florida State House, District 79. That covers the areas of Alva, Olga, North Fort Myers, Lehigh Acres, and Buckingham.
I understand you're a retired attorney. Tell me a little bit about your law practice.
Oh gosh, I covered 45 years and I did a lot of different things, but basically I was an employee benefits expert. And that included representing folks who were disabled, getting benefits for them, and representing people whose pensions had been wrongfully denied. I sued companies like Hewlett Packard, Wells Fargo Bank, and it was sad I had to sue them, but I did, and I got people their pensions. And I also worked representing pension plans and health plans and job training programs so they could provide benefits. And that was a really highlight of my career, so I enjoyed doing that as well. So I've worked both for and against health plans and pension plans, always making sure that people got the benefits they were entitled to.
You've never run for office before?
I haven't. This is my first time.
So what got you into the race?
Well, it was the fact that Florida refused to accept Medicaid expansion. Medicaid expansion is for the working poor, people who make $600 to $1,600 a month, and it would have covered 800,000 Floridians, paid for almost primarily by the federal government, and it would have created 65,000 to 100,000 jobs. And there were partisan reasons it wasn't done, and it just wasn't right. And healthier employees are more productive employees. They have preventative care. They have access to wellness programs, and all that saves us money in the long run. So not only would it have been almost free coverage for 10 years for 800,000 Floridians, it would have also made them more productive and made employers more successful. So I thought that was sort of shameful that we hadn't accepted Medicaid expansion. And I've had experiences, I've told you, with health plans. And so I just wanted to talk about that issue. I thought it was important.
And why is Medicaid expansion such a concern?
Well, it's for those reasons. Right now, everybody who gets ill winds up going to the hospital and gets coverage. They get treated, even if they don't have insurance or they don't have other coverage. But it's very costly to do that because you don't want someone to go to the hospital when they have a heart attack. You want them to have health coverage and see doctors regularly so they can get preventative care and not have the heart attack. So we want to save money up front by spending a little bit of money up front. So it's a good way to do things, and I think that's something that the state should look at, and it's good for the community, it's good for the employers, and it's certainly good for individuals.
Any other issues you're passionate about?
Well, I'm also concerned and interested in making sure our public schools are strong. I want to make sure that colleges are affordable. I want small businesses to be supported. And we also have to look at criminal justice reform.
A lot on your plate with all those. Let's take them one at a time. Public schools. What will you, as a state representative, do different than your opponent when it comes to our schools?
Well, public schools have not been adequately funded. And my opponents, all of the folks on the other side of the aisle, have in the past been diverting funds for public schools to for-profit private schools. I think this is also shameful. It's unacceptable. We're spending almost the 49th percentile out of 50 states in terms of funding our public schools per capita per student. Our schools need more state funding, especially here in Lee County and in my district, because Lee County is the fastest growing county in the country. We add 1,900 students a year to our school system in Lee County. We're the 9th largest school board in the state, and we're getting no state funding. And so I want to see more state funding to help support our schools. There's no reason we can't. We have something called the Public Education Capital Outlay Fund, the PICO Fund. And the PICO Fund didn't give Lee County any money this year, and we need to build a new school every year. So we're going to have a sales tax increase to take care of it when the state should have stepped up to the plate and given us at least $20 or $25 million.
And what about small businesses?
Small businesses are the backbone of our country. They're 70% of our economy, not only nationally, but here in Florida. And we have something called the Small Business Development Network Center that's to help small businesses grow. And the state hasn't funded it. Instead, our governor and our state legislature has given hundreds of millions of dollars, approaching billions of dollars, to large corporations that have made promises that they never kept about bringing more jobs into Florida. So if we support small businesses, we know we're going to have the jobs, and we'll have the jobs here in Lee County. Also, there are entities like Tech Highway, FIU, and Startup FIU, which are wonderful entrepreneurship programs that will help small businesses grow, and they can also use additional funding.
Criminal justice reform sounds like a huge project. Are you biting off more than you can chew with that one?
Well, that sounds like a big one, and if I were inventing the wheel, I would be. But you know, we had our state Senate, bipartisan, pass 5 criminal justice reform bills. One of them was to take elderly, nonviolent prisoners who were ill and move them out of private prisons and put them into hospice. It would save us a lot of money. We pay $22,000 a year for the healthy prisoners, so you're going to be spending $30,000 or $40,000 for the ones that are ill. And all those 5 bills were voted down by our state house. And they were voted down because our state house representatives, my opponents, wind up getting funding, lobbying money from private prisons. I don't take money from private prisons. So I want to see criminal justice reform bills that we've passed in the state Senate adopted. And these are bills that Texas, Mississippi, and Georgia have all adopted, and they've lowered their crime rate and lowered their cost for prisons. Texas closed 8 prisons, and it reduced its crime rate to the lowest it's been since 1967. Why wouldn't we do the same thing?
What exactly will you or can the state do to support vocational career training?
Well, you know, our state has done very little to support Lee County's public schools, as I said earlier. And as far as vocational training goes, and I call it vocational career training because they are careers. They're not a fallback position or a default. These are careers that people pick. We have 12 different vocational training career programs already in our high schools. I've had the privilege of touring both Dunbar High School and East Lee County High School. They have great programs ranging from robotics to pre-police academy training, working with the fire departments, nursing, construction, trades like HVAC, electrical, mechanical. So we have 12 different programs, and the state is giving us nothing to help keep those going or to expand them. So we need more of those programs for the students who don't want to go to college.
Absolutely. And I've saved the best for last, an issue that is deeply personal to me as a college student. Affordable college. Are you going to lower tuition and housing costs?
Wouldn't that be nice if I could? Lowering housing costs would be great. When I was in college, I remembered that the housing costs were exorbitantly high because it was a captive audience of students. And what would be nice is for students to get together, set up nonprofit corporations, and those are 501, I believe, 501c2s. They're holding companies for buildings, and they could then have a nonprofit buildings for students. But short of that, what I could do is, one, work with banks and with the federal government to try and get student loan interest rates lowered. I represented a lady pro bono, that means for free, who had borrowed $80,000 and paid back $80,000 and still owed $105,000, and it's because of the interest that had accrued over the years on her student loan. I think that's unconscionable. Additionally, I think that what we can do for students is continue the dual credit programs we have in high schools that allows students to finish 2 years of college while they're in high school, and then they can get Bright Future scholarships in Florida, which pays for the other 2 years, or they can get needs-based scholarships for those students who haven't excelled, but we know that they can make it through college and they have a desire to do so and they have real financial need. So I'd like to see those types of scholarships continue to be funded, and that's a bipartisan approach because both parties in both houses have really supported the Bright Future Scholarship Program. So I'd like to see those continued on. I'd like to see the vocational training continued, and I'd like to see college student loans interest rate lowered.
Can you sum up your approach to all of these issues? Is there a common thread?
It's interesting you use that word common because the approach I look at is common ground is common sense. I'm not trying to take ideological positions that are going to offend anybody. I'm trying to say what's good for the community. And to me, common ground is common sense. Another way to put it is if you put people over profits or the community over corporations, I think that makes sense as well. But I call myself the common sense candidate, and I think that's what people want these days.
Well, I certainly wish you good luck. Thank you for the interview.
Well, thank you for having me.